people who want to know what is the Keith Andrew Network, the whole point of my talk show is to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities, and never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, so prove them to still amount to something.
Hey, good evening. How you doing, everybody out there? My name is Rick Branch, and I was just interviewed by Keith Andrews. He is doing an awesome job. This is our second time around, and it's been 5 years since our first time, and I am honored to be asked to come in front of the camera again, and I hope that it won't be as long the next time, because I would like to talk with him again next year about my projects that I've done that y'all seen and supported. Take a look at the podcast and reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram, or coordinate with Keith, and Keith get you in contact with me. And thank you, Keith, for all the military veterans in the United States. Salute.
Hey, so the first one I'm going to ask you, we have the top 15 acting questions that we're going to talk over about today. And here is number one. What is the biggest change you want to make in your acting career?
Find some projects that are closer to where I live, because, you know, right now I'm having to drive at least 6 hours, anywhere between 3 and 6 hours to get to call time. So if I can find something a little closer, where that means I can do more, that'll be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. And for people who may or may not know, first off, thank you for your service. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And you are a hero. I just want to say that.
I appreciate that. Appreciate the acknowledgement. That's for all my first of all, Navy shipmates, and directly to my Navy submarine shipmates.
That's amazing. And I think I told you, but I don't remember. It was a while ago. My grandfather served in World War II.
Uh-oh. Look like you get ready to witness World War III.
I'm hoping not, but hey, if you want to talk about it, we can talk about anything you want. But if you sneeze the wrong way, who knows what the psychopath is going to do?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yes.
You can't fake stupid, right?
Yeah, you know, power make you want to do a whole lot of things, you know.
Well, like my brother said, you know, this is his time, his moment. After this, he's done. You know, so he's figured he got this far. He just keeps seeing what he can do. And unfortunately, you know, I don't want to experience a war. You know, 2008, we went from a recession, or some people say depression. Then he had the writer's strike. You know, that's not really a big thing, but, you know, that happened. Then we had the pandemic. And it's kind of like, you know, I don't want to throw shit against the wall and see what's going to happen next. A war, no one wins in a war because both sides loses. And it's completely unnecessary. And you are a veteran, and you've been in that situation before. And you know firsthand what it really takes out of you, physically and mentally.
Oh, yes. I mean, a lot of veterans come home with that post-traumatic stress syndrome because of things they witnessed when they're in a war. I mean, when you witness things, you can't unwitness it. And then when you come back here as a civilian, it's hard to get past that, because there's really nobody you can talk to that can relate to what you're saying. Because if you try to say it to ordinary civilians, they can't comprehend what you're saying, and they think you're crazy.
I agree. Now, I don't know if you know the story, but I think it was 1942 or 1943 in the Polish army, when they invaded Iran, they had a bear in their unit.
No, I don't think I remember that or recall that one, but it's interesting.
But I would definitely send you the video. I promise on that.
Yeah, please do.
And I felt bad for the bear. And I give you an example. When they're in the trenches, they couldn't go over to enemy lines because they're being shooting at. So they trained the bear how to walk on 2 feet, how to carry military weapons and everything. It's like really impressive. And they made a statue of the bear. Unfortunately, it didn't end up well with the bear. And most veterans, you would know, doesn't end up well because after the war, everyone went home and they're like, what we're going to do with this bear? Personally, I would say just leave them in the army. You are taught to bear everything. You have a great asset. And you can't demysticize. Now I'm probably gonna bust that word. You can't make a bear into a bear once you humanize it. So what do? They try to turn it back into a bear, put it in the zoo. The bear freaked out, and they end up killing it. And it's like, it's uncensored, by the way. You can say whatever you want. It's like, God damn it, all of that. It's unnecessary because and that's it. Let me ask you your opinion. Do you think that our veterans don't get the respect and not determination, but the respect and duties that they deserve because they put their lives on the line? And when they come back, it's pretty much, here's your paper, go get an ordinary job. But it takes a mental toll on you doing so many things and things you don't want to do. It's kind of like, you come back as shell shock or post-traumatic PSD. But it's especially for an animal. You can't just put it away and say, okay, we come back for you when you need it. I don't mean to complain. I was trying to do like a comparison.
Well, first of all, just being human and alive in this world has compounded stress as it is. I mean, just, going to school, going to the grocery store, going, doing your taxes, walking down the street, all those things come with stress. Now you compound that with somebody who had to go outside their humanistic, personality to destroy another human or watch another human die or actually look at somebody that looked like them and just, end their life. And then you expect that person to come back here to society and act like that didn't happen. That's going to eat you up. If it's an emotional and mental cancer that people who don't experience that cannot relate. So when people as veterans come back here, they're ignored because they say, oh, you crazy, or you shell shocked, or you just a cuckoo because you've been overseas. And then they get pushed to the side. It's almost like they do old folks. Once you get to a certain level or age where you no longer provide any value, you get put on the shelf or put in the corner and put to a side and forgotten about. So it's almost like how some veterans are done, because I know veterans now who are struggling and mentally, health-wise, education, financially, and like nobody. I mean, if you ain't got no money, you can't get to places where you can get help, and nobody cares. After they give everything, after they sign that piece of paper, raise their right hand, swore their oath to protect your country, and then you go out there and then you risk your life, and you're one of the lucky ones, or it might not be lucky ones, that end up coming back home. What happens? What happens to you? And you feel like, dang, Joe Smo left high school and he didn't join the military, and he's very successful and he got everything he dreamed and more. Here I am. I can't even get a sandwich. I can't even give somebody to give me I can't make my own. I got to have my hand out. That's not right.
No, I agree. And I don't mean to talk about politics, but I would love to hear some of your stories if that's what you want to talk about. This is your time.
Well, actually, as we speak, I have a movie coming out that addresses those very issues. The movie is called The New Norm, where I play a veteran And I'm playing not only a veteran, but a father figure trying to help another veteran who's going through these post-traumatic stresses. And I'm doing everything I can to help him get to where he want to be. At the same time, I have my own demons that I'm dealing with. I don't want to give out the movie because I want people to go see the movie. But if you do not mind, it's coming out soon. Check out, and you can Google it on the internet, the New Norm movie, where I play Sam. I play a veteran. It's a very powerful movie. And if we can get all my veteran friends out there and all my non-veteran friends, as a matter of fact, if you are a veteran, and you are the mother, the father, the brother, the sister, the neighbor, you are a veteran too, because you know that individual. So you have indirect partiality of a veteran because you know a veteran. So it's a very good movie. If you do have an hour and 45 minutes to spare, support the movie because you'll be supporting veterans because the movie will be helping veterans. And it's called A New Norm. Look it up on Google, the New Norm movie. Yes, the New Norm movie.
You know, it's funny you should mention that because we're kind of in the new normal because I'm hoping we can go back to going to stores. Things will eventually go back after the pandemic. And that's another thing I want to ask you. You know, with everything with the pandemic, have you said, you know, this really sucks, or have you sat back and actually say, you know what, now I have time to do what I really want? Because people always said, I wish I could stay home, do nothing, but now you kind of got what you wanted and you're like, oh, now, you know, it's like the kid who always says he wants, and when they get it, they completely, you know, say, oh, this is not what I expected. So what I'm asking you is, with the pandemic, how has that affected you mentally and physically?
Well, with the pandemic, I had come to realize just how fragile our ecosystem is, just how fragile what we take for granted can be easily taken away. I mean, some things that you like, for instance, you can't even go to a grocery store and get your necessities without having to, at one point, we all know we had to wear a mask, we had to make sure we a certain distance, and even the store will have policies where they only have a certain amount of people in the store. And hopefully when you get there, the things that you want, you better hope that they're there because they may not be there. So our social ecosystem is very fragile. Just like that, a virus came and just wrecked our world. I mean, it changed everything. I mean, you can't even see your parents. Because I had an issue where my mother had to go to a hospital. And, you know, everybody wants to see their parents. I couldn't go see my mother because they said we cannot let anybody go in. If you want to bring us something, give it to the nurse and we'll give it to your mother. But I couldn't see it. You know how frustrating that is? So that tells me right there that our ecosystem is very fragile. And we've taken a lot of stuff for granted. Like we are guaranteed that tomorrow is going to be the same as today. Ain't nothing guaranteed. Because right now with this war, we don't know if Putin might all of a sudden say, fuck it. And next thing you know, everything else is going to change. We don't. And it's just that easy. He can just say, fuck it. I ain't got nothing else to lose because he is pushed against the corner now. And he said, fuck it. If I'm going down, I'm taking your asses with me. I mean, he could.
If that's the scary thing, is that he could, you know, especially the way, this is what I say, you know, if Russia teams up with China, the only way to cripple China is saying, all right, you want to be assholes? We're going to take everything, all American businesses, we're going to take them out of your country and we're going to crash your economy. And that's how you do it. But we don't want to be in a situation, and I don't have control over it. You don't have control over it. You know, the powers to be are on those stupid settings. And you just don't know. You just say, you know what? I just want a roof over my head. I want to get through one day to the next. Because there's one thing, there's this meme on Facebook. If I find it again, I will send it to you. This alien, it's on a spaceship. It's like, oh, no, I was watching season 22 of Earth. And first it was a pandemic. and now they're jumping into a war. It's like, what did we miss?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why people need to tell their loved ones, I love you daily now, because you just don't know. Because it's one thing that we were starting to feel good about COVID going away. Now, oh man, it's something else. That's stress. That's traumatic stress. That's almost like what veterans got to go to. I mean, you think you won, but then you got to go to sleep and you scared that you might not wake up in the morning because it's quiet right now, you can't see what's out there. And, nowadays, everything is fought through cybers, and satellites. You don't know. And that pressure alone, you got to have a powerful makeup to endure that and come back and be sane. and when you, like I said, when you raise your right hand and say this, you expect when you come back that somebody's going to help you.
I agree. I think I asked you before, are you a fan of Dragon Ball Z?
I love it. Matter of fact, I hope they hurry up and bring a new one because I done seen them all. I love Dragon Ball Z.
So I hear it. Not to sound morbid or anything, but I always talk about if I die, I would have two requests. One, do my life over, knowing everything I know now. Or if I can't get that, I want to be in the Dragon Ball universe.
Oh yeah, yeah. And look for those 7 balls.
And the reason I bring
call the dragon.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize.
Oh, you good?
There's a line in it was after the Frieza arc. It's like the universe 7 versus 6, and Choppa, it's like, oh, what happened to our Earth and Havanos, one of my favorite angels. Then her and Margarita, beautiful. I said, but they're like, what happened to Earth? Oh, they got into a conflict over a stupid civil war. Okay, now with everything going on with World War III, I hope we're not in Universe 6.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know what you mean. Because this is crazy. I don't know what else we can take. What else is next? If it's like you said, I would like to be in that universe as well, because somebody's gonna wish you back and wish you everything back to normal. Because ultimately, that's what they do. That's what they wish, everything was back to normal for a while.
Except for if you die from natural causes, there is a catch.
Yeah, yep. Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this one while we're talking about political things. What is your honest opinion? Do you think the pandemic whole came from a lab? Because this was, if you look at it, the viruses evolve and they burn out. But this damn thing is constantly evolving, and it's not getting weaker, it's getting stronger. Now you look at the Delta and the other thing that came out, the Delta kind of like vanished because it was the weak, survival of the fittest. That one disappeared. But this thing, it's got to be like the flu. Hopefully it's gone forever. Wistful thinking. But unfortunately, it's going to be a yearly shot. We're going to have to get our shots like we had for the flu shot and the cold. Not the cold anyway. But do you think this was actually meant to be a weapon?
I really don't know. I just know that it's always been here. COVID, it didn't just start 3 years ago. It's always been here. So it just happened, I guess, mutated to the point where now it really taking a toll on human genome. I don't know if it will, everything is possible. It's all about getting the upper hand on, it's since we became standing upright, it's always been us against them. Every species on this planet it's a battle. So everybody's trying to get the upper hand. Everybody's adjusting it. That's just life for every creature, not just human, but everything from amoebas. It's all about evolving and getting the upper hand so your genomes will go to the next generation. And if you think you got something that can take out your adversary, hey, but I just think that it's always been here.
You're right. Look at 2003 was I think it was the swine flu, and then it was the bird flu, and then it was SARS, and then there was something else after SARS. So, like you said, COVID's been here, but it had different names, but it didn't really get extremely bad then. It always, I wouldn't say died down. It kind of just mellowed. But this one is, well, it's like, in a boxing match, like a straight right hand and knocked us on our ass for a whole year and a half.
We not apex. I just acknowledge that we are not apex species. We are not. And a lot of people think humans are apex species in this world. We're not. And that just proved this. So it's going to keep evolving faster than we can. So the only thing we can do is slow it down, because it's going to keep evolving faster than we can. So that's what happened to the dinosaurs. That's why they got taken out, because they weren't able to evolve fast as the mammals did. Now you got more mammals than you do reptiles. So it's just evolution, Who knows? In 1,000 years, it may be planet COVID. COVID be the apex creature on this planet, because we're not.
I agree.
We are definitely living in a fool's paradise if we think that we are the apex creature on this planet. Fool's paradise. We pontificate as if we are, but we're not. Definitely not.
Well, I will ask you just one last question. I'm going to pass it over to you. You can talk about anything you want. This is your time. Do you believe in life in space? And before you say that, Earth is in space, so obviously, we are a life form in space. But with all your times being on the submarines and the big ships, have you ever seen, if you don't have to answer, if you don't want to, have you ever seen like UFOs? And now they actually came out and said there are officially UFO sightings.
Well, I never seen any UFOs or whatnot, but I think there is life in space, because life began in water, and before it were water drinkable, all that dust came from space, and life began there. So yes, there's life in space. What we consider as life might not be the definition of what we expect, but there are life out there, because that's the dust that came to the earth is what initiated the whole bloom of this planet. So yes, there's life on in the space, because every day we're bombarded with stuff floating from space hitting the water. So yes, I mean, it might be so small we can't see, but it's life. That's my take on it.
Absolutely. So passing it over to you, what would you like to talk about? This is your time.
Well, hot topic that I want to go ahead and get this off the topic. I think the last time we spoke, I think I told you that me and a production company was working on bringing the Robert Smalls story to the big screen, bringing his life forward, because what he did in 1863, 1865 pretty much changed the world, especially directly related to the world we're living in now. But as we mentioned, COVID put a stop, pause, don't go on everything. So that kind of got pushed to the side until, this pandemic, came down a little bit. With that said, in order to get this off the ground, we would like to try and get some financial backing. So if anyone looking at this interview know or want to participate or have any suggestions to help us get this movie off the ground so we can tell a actual hero. I mean, if the Black Panther can make a lot of money on a fictitious hero, Robert Small was an actual hero in many definitions. I mean, he was a slave that commandeered a United States ship, the Planter, from the Confederacy, took it out, and he was a gangster too, because he said, we are not going back. He took it out to out in South Carolina, out to the ocean, and he met the Union Navy and presented to the Union Navy the USS Planter, and he ended up meeting Abraham Lincoln and became an international hero back in 1863. And he was such a hero because he was a slave and he was able to do all that. And you can imagine how tough it is now in 2022, how tough it may be for a Black person in 1863, not just one Black person, but he grabbed a whole family of slaves and went out there and saved them and ended up being a national hero. Matter of fact, the United States armies have ships named after him. He was such a hero because there is a ship in the army because he was a brigadier general and he was a first Navy captain. And the army has a ship named after him. And he became a senator for 5 terms. Now he went from slave to senator, and he ended up, he bought a school so the young African kids can get an education. And here's another thing that's fascinating. Remember, he was a slave. After he gained all his wealth, he bought the house he was a slave in, and his master and mistress, well, his master had passed on, but his wife had dementia, and she thought he was still a slave, and he allowed her to live in that house until her passing. So he bought the house, and even though she still thought he was a slave, he allowed her to live in the house as long as she wanted to. And that is commendable. Come on, he was a slave to them. He bought the house and then let her live it until she passed on. And that story should be told, but nobody really knows about Robert Small. All they know about is Frederick Douglass, George Washington Carver, Martin Luther King, and Barack Obama. It's almost like those are the only 5 Black people that people know. There was a lot of Black people that did a lot of good things nobody know. And we're trying to get this movie on the screen, but we just need some financial booking. So if anybody looking at this wants to contact me, I can get you contacted to our production company and we can go forth. But it's a story that needs to be told. Second thing I want to say, we mentioned we were earlier in the part, we was talking about veterans. As I mentioned, I got a movie coming out called The New Norm, which surrounds veterans and the conditions they had to deal with after they, get out of the military. And that's a very powerful movie. It's the New Norm movie. Check that out. It's coming out soon. And another movie I got coming out is called the 21st Century Band movie. If anybody's familiar with Greg Buford and his brother, Takashi Buford, they are famous today in their own right. Takashi Buford was a screenwriter, and he has like the couple movies, Set It All, House Party, couple other movies, but I play their father. So this is a real movie that happened in the 70s. It's like the birth of R&B / hip hop. That's another movie's coming out, and it's based here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So if anybody want to check that out, go to my Facebook page, Rick Kelvin Branch, or to my Instagram page, Rick. I forgot what the name of it. But anyway, there's several movies got coming out, and I appreciate the opportunity that Keith have given me to have a platform to let people know that I got some project coming out, and we got some project that we want to work on. But, with COVID, we just kind of run into a financial bind. And if there's anybody out there can help, greatly appreciate it. The movie, name of the movie about Robert Small right now, the working title is The Man Who Stole Himself, and is produced by Owen Polyarmy Production. And it's a great story. A lot of people should know. And I greatly appreciate Keith thinking that the second interview was a pretty good interview, and I'm sure you've seen some of my posts on Facebook, and you reached out to me a second time, and thank you for that. And because that means that I'm doing something right, because you asking me to come in front and talk to you about things. So evidently I'm on the right track. if anybody else out there looking at this and want to ask me for an interview, you can contact me. You can contact Keith, and Keith can let you know that, hey, somebody else wants to contact me. I know I'm pretty long-winded, but I got a passion for these things. I like telling stories of people, especially people who looks like me, that have not been told. They should be brought to the forefront. Because personally, no disrespect, I love all the things that Martin Luther King done, but that's all I hear. I just need to hear other things. Martin Luther King did a lot of great things, but he's not the only person that did great things. You know, they look like me. There's lots of people who look like me that did great things. So what about them? So how much time I got left?
49 seconds. But
I right on time, dear. Thank you, Keith Andrews, and I hope that your what's the word I'm looking for? I hope that you people who are looking at your podcast find this podcast very stimulating, because that's the objective.
Absolutely. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, and anyone who wants to see our very first interview was January 17th of 2017, 5 years ago. I do apologize, it's been that long.
But it's been 5 years? Good Lord.
I just looked up my phone and it's like, wait, are you the same person? Because I didn't recognize it was a Don King look.
Since those 5 years, I've been in Wonder Woman, 84, Charm City School, what's the one with Rocky Creed 2, a couple other movies that I've been in. So like I say, you can check my IMDb page. You'll see a lot of the movies I've been in, and I'm hoping to get in a whole lot more in the future. So yes, 5 years, wow.
Absolutely.
I just want to say this because I'm proud of this moment. Gal Gadot actually hit me, so I can actually say that Wonder Woman actually hit me. I am proud of that because I can take that to my grave that Wonder Woman hit me.
Wrapping up, I do have a couple questions for you off the air. It was a real honor and privilege having you back on the show. Can't wait for part 3. And until we meet again, catch you later. Thank you and have a good night.